In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
So I tried to go to Taco Bell for that. Have you seen? There's that ridiculous.
The
It's like a
Cheez-It?
tostada on a giant Cheez-It.
Yeah.
And so I went to go try. I was like, you know what? This is dumb. It came up in like a Slack conversation earlier about this the stupid Cheez-It, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go get it. I just gonna be dumb. I'll document. So I go to Taco Bell. They didn't have it. It was gone. No giant Cheez-It. So instead, I bought 2 Mexican pizzas and stacked them to make a double-decker Mexican pizza.
Okay.
And that was my dinner. And I'm not sure how quickly Taco Bell can move through 170-pound adult male,
Quite rapidly.
but apparently with the quickness, like
With the vigor,
roughly 2 hours. Yeah. So that just happened. So I'm chasing it with some coconut LaCroix, Remy LaCroix.
Good job, man.
And and which is the superior, as we know here, and friends of the pod. No, it's a superior bubbly water.
Yeah, we don't do that bottom shelf. What is it? Polar?
Oh. No, Polar.
Like, wow. This isn't the Qua country. Is it? I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
As I drink Miller Lite.
That's a Miller Lite, sir. Which is effectively bubbly water. But that's great. That's why we enjoy it.
Yeah, it is. All right, guys. So
how are you, my friend?
With the hard-hitting news of I'm doing better than you.
Yes.
Apparently, you just took a sweaty dump. Dude, taking a dump. Okay, if we're gonna go off the rails, taking a dump when you're sweating is like one of my least favorite conditions to be in. It's like when there's relative humidity, you're already sweaty. And then wiping after is just like,
well, you're a military man, so you did quite a bit of that in your heyday, right?
I remember shitting in upstate New York, Fort Drum. Shout out to the winters there. -40, taking a shit in a porta potty where that blue stuff froze that freezes at like -20. Yeah, I took a shit in one of those. I think my butthole got frostbite. That explains a lot. And I've definitely pooped in a shitter in Afghanistan at like 100, the opposite end of that, like 120-30 degrees, and then inside the shitter probably like 140 with kamikaze flies. The worst part of the shitter.
Oh, dude!
Not only was it that you had to squat over the shit mounting that
you're afraid you're afraid someone's gonna get up inside you, like straight up. Yeah,
that's what their purpose is, man. They hit your asshole with authority. That's like someone flicking your butthole, and to this day, it's the only way I can get off. So
wow, wow, you have maybe the strangest PTSD coming out of Afghanistan from any service member. But hey, you know what? Everyone's different. We're all different. We're all little snowflakes.
Different strokes for different folks. But anyway,
something like that.
God, I really want to talk about.
Think about it. Somebody, and it might be you. Somebody somewhere has the greatest delta between like lowest degree deuce and highest temperature.
It's up there, man.
Deuce. Like that delta, between -40 and 140 or whatever. Somebody out there is holding the porcelain crown.
Yeah, I've got some range. Under my belt, my friend, and that's a shitty intro. But so today, guys, this is another. Speaking of something I came up with on the shitter, I think so. I do this thing where I brainstorm topics when I'm on the shitter, and I just fucking send them to Frank. My phone screen is completely flagged with poop particles. But I was like, dude, you know what we should do? Because car films are a big thing. Car films have been a thing for a while, and they really impact car culture, or historically have.
Oh yeah,
and I wanted to fucking ruin them because some of them have done some damage, but I wanted to like take iconic films and just do what we do best and just shit all over it. Emphasis on shitting. Let's just do this, man. Let's just fucking do this. And no holds are barred. You guys know us. Let's cut a little loose on this one, Frank. We started off with flies.
Yeah, this is going to be pure silliness, and so I think our intro.
Yeah,
I think your intro was very apt for us, just talking straight silliness with the loose rubric of it being around car movies. And I know per great tradition here on the pod, you've got somewhat of a bit of a list and some ideas going, and I am flying directly from the hip because that's what I do best and worst.
What he does.
One that I initially thought of is one that has been kind of co-opted and turned into various forms of reality TV and YouTube things, and that's the original Cannonball Run.
Yeah, yeah.
And that has been kind of co-opted in a bunch of different ways. And considering that we are now in the era of like, shock YouTubers getting in trouble for like shooting their Lamborghini with fireworks from moving helicopters, or the really poppy thumbnail of like super clickbaity. I want someone, actually I don't want someone to do this because it's genuinely dangerous and highly illegal. In this world, I would conceptualize somebody like real world reality TV making another Cannonball Run, where people try and get from wherever it is in New York to, I don't remember, in Southern California. There's a hotel, I don't remember, it's a whole thing. But every contestant has to be mandatory hammered drunk. So yes, I don't want this to be actually made. Humongous asterisks.
Yeah.
But if we're destroying classic car films, I want like the new Zoomer, like and subscribe. Look how stupid I am on, and I'm videotaping it to show the world. Era of entertainment.
Sure.
Which some of it is fine. I'm not here to completely criticize that. But if I'm going to like mockumentary that and have someone actually remake a film, I think a new Zoomer reality TV DUI mandatory for all participants Cannonball Run across the country would be madness. It would be appointment television. And people would die, which is why it shouldn't happen. But that was my thought. How about you, my friend? What's your thoughts on DUI Cannonball Run?
I mean, I love it. I think I would love to volunteer for that role. I'd like to be in that film. I think it'd be good. I think it'd be really good. I mean, are we acting?
So many fatalities.
And it shouldn't be acting. It should be like,
no. So I'm saying reality TV.
Real
like think like Jackass. But
everything
like,
about it.
Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and I'm doing deep into the triple digits across the country as quickly as I can, while like butt chugging rum or whatever.
I love it. I hate it, but I love it at the same time. It would be extremely funny.
It would be like the next sign that we are living idiocracy. Because we are. But like, yes, it would be absurdity. It would be so frowned upon. Like if it was secretly done and released, and like it would be barred, it would be banned television, and for good reason. But by golly, if we're gonna ruin something, let's freaking ruin it.
That would probably ruin it. Yeah. That'd be the end.
Or how about this? What if like instead of everyone is drunk, like there's the drunk car versus the cocaine car versus the ketamine car,
Coke
versus
car
versus the salvia mobile. Like I don't know, like there's the whip it wagon. Like there's all these different. Yeah.
The whip it wagon doesn't drive for more than 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just just heroic macro dose of LSD mobile. Like
I love
who wins?
Changing gears, if you will. The original Fast and Furious. We got to mention it in the list,
have to
right?
Talk about it.
So the end of the film, I believe, and I had to look it up because it's been so goddamn long since I watched this. Dom crashes, right? And Brian gives him the Supra, the 10-second orange Supra.
That's right. You only get 10-second car.
Yeah, Dom goes to Mexico, yet they remain friends, right? A franchise is born. That's how we remember the series starting.
Mm-hmm.
Remix time. So after Dom crashes, he limps into Brian's car, the Mark IV Supra. And the two drive to an isolated mountain range in the Northern Rockies instead of going to Mexico.
Is it a Brokeback origin story?
God damn it, Frank!
Yes, let's go.
It takes
hell yeah.
It takes a rock hard twist into Brokeback Mountain territory as Brian and Dom become passionate lovers. Imagine the impact of this on the franchise in the entire car scene in the early 2000s.
Super, like there's some potential like social commentary and implications here that like
huge.
I don't know.
Changes a lot.
It
changes.
First off, is Dom a Dom or a sub?
You think he would be, but really not. He's like he's
all about. Oh man, I don't want to say he's all about family because that makes it weirder.
Brian's a top bear, dude. He is a top bear in this match.
Could be. But like very interesting concept. I would not have cooked it up, but right when you said
but the
sailing
car
off,
scene,
like, I mean,
dude, the car. Think of like early 2000s social implications of something like this.
sure,
Like you're at the theater, like, yo, I'm gonna fucking put some underglow in my car. Oh, why is he touching his wiener?
yeah,
That's not the
it's just
stick
like
shift,
immediate.
Dom.
It's just immediate. It's just immediate hardcore. Like you get like 94% of the way of the way through the scene, the movie, and you're like, why is this NC-17? I straight up cannot figure it out. And like nobody spills the beans for some reason. It's not in reviews or anything. It's just under wraps. And then what would be even better is if okay, well, I'm gonna go on a quick I'm gonna go on a quick tangent here. Have you ever seen the movie Clue?
Yeah.
Okay. So that movie, when it came out in the theaters, it had 4 different endings, and they randomly released theaters with different endings.
Okay.
And so when people would get out of it, they're like, "Oh yeah, like I did see that movie. Yeah, I saw it last week, and I can't believe it was, whatever, the professor with the wrench or whatever." And they're like, "What are you talking about? Like that's not what happened." Like, and so, but they didn't tell anyone, so they snuck it out.
Yeah,
there.
I remember hearing that.
So imagine if they did that with this movie, but like 1 out of every 6 ending is the Brokeback ending, and then just to fuck with people. But no, like that's an interesting thought. Like,
what a twist!
If it was
M. Night Shyamalan,
right, M. Night Shyamalan produces, yeah. But no, I mean that would be very interesting. I wonder if there would be like cultural implications, like if it was like still as popular of a film, but like it just like opened people's eyes, but like, oh, like gentleman lovers are okay, and
could have changed a lot of things.
It could have been very avant-garde, but instead we got Too Fast Too Furious, where the chick jumps the bridge in the S2000 and then yells to slap her ass, and it's like quite the different social angle. That's a good one. And you know what, honestly, like Fast and Furious, there's so many different ways that you can go. Like what if instead of Tokyo Drift, it was like I don't know, Baja 1000, like they get into the Baja 1000 and there's like a drug trafficking thing. Big and difference. they did that instead of like I
thought it was like a dynamic approach. You start off fast and furious, you end slow and passionate. So
yes, yeah, that would be.
What do you got?
Every other movie is either like
should move past
totally benign or like impossibly sexually charged. Like so, like the sequel is just like totally it's a car movie, and then the third one is like a straight up softcore.
Dude, the greatest part of this is you act like nothing happened. So the following film's like no mention of what happened at the end of the first one. They're like, what? No, that didn't.
Yeah, that would be
a dream. It was
normalizing.
Dream.
We're normalizing.
Dream
okay.
Sequence.
Yeah, it was, and they just wake up sweaty. So Gone in 60 Seconds, right? I always so that movie was funny because, well, there's a lot of reasons, right? Like there's a lot of kind of auto reality anachronisms and things like that.
Yeah.
But although one thing is, remember in the movie where they broke a side signal lamp and then they like plugged in something into it and were able to like start the car with it, and it was like pre-CAN bus. So like back then it was like, oh, that will never happen, that's horseshit. And then like, but now like people are doing that.
Yeah
it's an actual thing. Like, oh yeah, someone popped the signal lamp in my new Tacoma or something and was able to plug in basically a scan tool and start it, which is, it's weird. The future is now. But I always thought Nicolas Cage was kind of a weird casting in that movie. And so I've always thought about recasting Nicolas Cage, and like you can go silly, right? Or for some reason I always thought that like Bruce Willis in that era would have been a better casting. Like I always thought like that would have been cool. He would have had a different attitude, would have been less goofy, would have been less, I don't know, Nick Cage. But he wasn't. And so if I was going to do a serious recasting, I would probably think Bruce Willis would actually potentially enhance that movie. If I was going to go full goofy, right? Like imagine if like Whoopi Goldberg was the lead. you know, something like that. Like that would be, she's fresh off her Sister Act fame, you know, like would we put Lauryn Hill in it somewhere too? I don't know, maybe. But what are your thoughts on like a potentially serious but like good addition, like recast of Nick Cage in that movie? And then like what do you think for like a silly?
I mean, Bruce Willis is really good, and that's a good time to put him into something like this. How about Jean-Claude Van Damme? Because he could be Jesus. He can go both. He's got the range, Frank.
What's funny? I think now that you say that, like yes, he could be either. Like he still like bites a rattle off a rattlesnake in the jungle.
Yeah.
But like. Part of me is like he would be better for the good, for like maybe the good casting. It still could be very bad, but he could be potentially good casting. Steven Seagal would be the bad.
He would be horrible all around. But Jean-Claude Van Damme could do the split if there was a right-hand drive vehicle and be steering both vehicles with his feet.
Interesting. I can see that.
That's a sequence.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, that could be good. And that's, you know what, that's a movie I haven't gone back and watched since like watching it in period. So I don't know if it holds up. I mean, that movie came out in what, like 99, 2000, something like that.
Yeah, and I just remember Nicolas Cage doing that one scene where he does that thing with his hands, and it's like, get the cars. Yeah. I was just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on there. He had a seizure. But it was it was a weird movie. It's a car movie for non-car people, but there's some car stuff in there, so it kind of got a lot of attention. But I mean, it was in it. That's probably why it got attention. But
sure. I don't know. She was never my cup of tea necessarily.
Not even Hackers. Get out of here, dude. Get the fuck out.
Real quick tangent on that is I remember
Hack the fucking
planet, I was in 8th grade, I think it was, and Hackers was pretty new at that point. It was out for, I don't know, a year and a half or something.
Yeah.
And we had in computer class, we had a substitute teacher, and so one of the kids convinced the sub that we should just watch the movie Hackers because it's about computers. And so we're sitting there watching it, and then there's the relatively brief topless scene that she has in that movie. The teacher was like, "Whoa!" and like ran over and like smashed the TV, so we couldn't watch it. We were all just like,
we saw similar. We saw Titanic in theaters. I rember that in school, and the Kate Winslet scene definitely.
Oh yeah, okay. Like you saw that in class?
Yeah, dude. We went to the movie theater.
Oh yeah, wow, there you go. But yeah, it's
different time.
Yeah, it's it was a movie, and I just looked it up. Gone in 60 Seconds came out in 2000. Okay. It has a 6.5 on IMDb, which is shocking. I don't know, what is that, a D, right? Like, I don't know.
No, that's 6.5 out of 10. I'm actually surprised it's that high.
I don't know. I feel like it was, and that's on almost 300,000 votes.
Yeah, I gotta watch it again.
But yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the most replicated movie cars. Right? Was the Eleanor?
Remember how many people did the like fucking knockoff, builds to try to make their own? I was like, this is getting.
Oh, they're still building them. You can still order them like that. Yeah.
All right, yeah. I like that one a lot, man. That's a good one. Nick Cage, though, he's something. The Cage Effect. Yes. So Pixar Cars in 2006, pretty.
Oh, I was going to talk about this too.
Important film, right? Like big film when it came out, popular, and it's a pretty cool film if you're a car guy, because there's a lot of like hidden stuff that you know about the cars, like the Miata girls and things like that, and there's some fun stuff in there. But here's what we do to ruin this film, my friend. We everything's the same: art style, car models, voices, etc. But the cars have photorealistic organ and skeletal structures.
Have you seen that that illustration somebody drew of Lightning McQueen?
I have not.
There's somebody does like a cross section of his skeleton and stuff. No, not
steal my thunder, because it
already exists.
So accidents become Mortal Kombat-esque fatalities. Slow motion, bloodbaths, X-ray shots of bones breaking, automotive fluids represented by blood. I just want it to be like just like a bloodbath gore fest film. But it keeps the sunny disposition. So there's like an accident, somebody gets like absolutely mangled, and they continue on like, oh, what's the next lighthearted part of our story? And then this probably needs to be made. I think this would be pretty awesome.
It's super. It's just like hyper violent and ridiculous.
Like in slow motion, just actually just like glorifies the gore. Just like it's just so bad.
It's
we need this.
Like there's like car, like I just imagine all it is there's like the opening scene where he's like running around just terrible accident, right, where like a bunch of cars pile up and there's just like blood and gore everywhere, and there's other cars in the grandstands like vomiting and just like having just like horrible, like in shock, and just like the 1,000-yard stare, and there's all these other cars having to go and like scoop up the various like car bits and organs off the roadway. And it's just people are just weeping, and that's the whole movie. It never changes off of that. It's just another like 96 minutes of just people freaking out and just the horror that would actually be.
And it's to me, in like the photorealistic, like just have like photos of real organs and gore, and like they're using like meat and stuff to look real, but like a car curbs itself, and instead of like the wheel just rubbing on the curb, it shows like a fingernail peeling back, and it's like
super slow-mo, like I sent you a link to one of the various Lightning McQueen
I'll
internal structures.
But I think this is the best way to ruin cars. So
well, one thing what's crazy is the first Cars, I think, is overrated. It's fine. It's kind of predictable. Whatever. It's fine. Cars 2, I think, I will argue, is the single worst Pixar movie. Period. Do you remember Cars 2?
I had to watch them all. My son got into them for a little bit, so we watched like all of them in a row. What was the premise of that one again? Was that the one where
Mater becomes like, I don't remember if it's Mater and Lightning or some combination, some combo meal thereof. They become like international spies, and they go to Europe like to do spy shit, and suddenly they're like brandishing firearms, and it's the weirdest.
Oh, because they did like the Bond car thing where they're like the hidden guns and missiles of the cars, and
kind of, but like no, some of them are just like holding pistols. Like it's the weirdest twist
on the streets, man.
It totally makes no. It's super bizarre. It's I don't know it, and then they got back on the rails with Cars 3, which is absolutely a money grab. I have a friend of mine who worked on that movie, and they were while they were making it, they were calling it like Cars 3, the money grab, was like what they were calling it when they were making it. But it's way better than 2. Like 2 is the weirdest. The single strangest, weirdest, shittiest Pixar movie, and I will die on that hill. Damn it.
Nice.
Speaking of Cars 2, because I wanted to talk about Cars 2 because it's the weirdest and shittiest Pixar movie. And I don't want to say I was going to go completely your direction with it, with the super violent and gory, but at least super violent and potentially gory. Is so, as I said, so Cars 2 was they kind of made a little bit of an action movie out of it, and there was spy shit, and suddenly they have weapons now, and it's totally weird. What if instead of it being like, okay, like Mater and Lightning somehow get roped up into the international spy missions, is what if they just get drafted and they have to just go to war?
Good.
And it's and pick your front, right? I'm picturing what I pictured in my mind was the Saving Private Ryan intro beach scene, but with Cars characters. Right?
Omaha Beach.
Like violent, and there's the one of the car holding its wheel and like looking lost, like the dude who's like picking up his arm in the beach scene there, and
all the Germans are like Porsches and Volkswagens shooting at him.
Yeah, and they've got like Nazi armbands, and it's totally ridiculous and just absolute. Yes, and so that is how I wanted to. Because here's the thing: you can't ruin Cars 2. It's that bad.
You're already there.
And so you might as well make it somehow a World War II epic. You know, think like Saving Private Ryan meets Schindler's List, but of the Cars universe. You know, I don't know what a automotive Auschwitz would be, and I don't know that I want to know, but it would be maybe it's just like a pick and pull. I have no idea, but there's whatever, Cars universe, Nazi doctors. I don't know. It could get really weird, and it should get really weird. But yeah, that was it's funny you brought up Cars because you went with the good movie and I went with the shit movie.
Right.
Which one does?
I don't know. I was having an off day when I came up with these topics, my friend.
I am an off day.
Smokey and the Bandit, 1977. The original, we can all agree, is a very lighthearted film about a sports car driving mischief. Burt Reynolds famously played the role, running from the law. And this one, though, we're not lighthearted. Burt Reynolds is a fucking criminal. He is. So Buford D. Justice is now the protagonist. He's not the antagonist. Okay. His mission in this kind of films like Saw, he has to stop Burt Reynolds from committing real fucking crimes. And I mean like murder, torture, child abduction. And it's like this really tense film. It's no longer Saw. How it's so fun. He's like, oh, I hope he outruns the cop, but it still has that humor. So he's like, oh, he got him. And it's like beheading someone in the passenger seat.
Yeah. Just Chainsaw Massacre.
But it's like in the chase sequences are in between the crime scenes. So it's like he has to stop him. And if he can't, and it's like such a thriller kind of thing because it's like you've got the high speed, but there's more stakes this time, right? He's not trying to get away.
Because Burt Reynolds is just deboning a drifter or something in the passenger seat of his car and just licking the bones and just doing crazy unhinged shit. And then it's cut by oh, you better get him.
Yeah,
and it's better get that bandit.
The bandit leaves these cryptic Saw adjacent clues in each crime scene, and it's like you go in there and
he spills out clues in ribs, human ribs and shit. Just absolutely unhinged.
Buford D. Justice has to solve the riddle and find out what the next location is, and then it's like a high speed pursuit when it's good. It's just good. I actually think this would actually play well.
That could be
this might actually be good.
Yeah, it would be good from a almost Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer, where it's so crazy and ridiculous that it could be good, right? And so it's super lighthearted 1 second and then just super unrealistically dark the next, and just there's a moment where where he's trying to catch the bandit and then he gets away again and finds some more just sinewy, gross, gory clues, and he just has there's just 10 minutes of him just super bleak, just weeping and hyperventilating and having a panic attack because he can't catch the bandit, and the bandit is he knows the bandit's gonna come for his wife and unborn son next, or something totally ridiculous.
Or Burt Reynolds call sign as he carves the Firebird emblem into the chest of his victims. I don't know.
Exactly.
A lot with this.
They find just a delimbed torso with this perfect screaming chicken just carved into their chest. Yes. Yeah. I think you're onto something. That could absolutely.
Yeah.
That could absolutely work.
I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't been paying enough attention to the clock here. We're probably are we getting long in it? I don't know.
We're getting in there.
One I wanted to broach is Ford versus Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I actually haven't seen it. That's probably a faux pas on my part.
Check it out. Yeah. Check it out.
Yeah. Heard good things, so I'll probably check it out. I do know that I've heard awful things, mediocre things about that Ferrari Enzo movie, and truly bad things about the Lamborghini movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was funny is and maybe it's just an American appetite thing where I think somehow the Ford versus Ferrari movie, because Ford wins, everyone agrees that's a good movie, and then the ones that are about the Italians are somehow mediocre to terrible. So it made me think, what if an Italian studio remade Ford versus Ferrari, but completely just jam-packed with historical anachronisms? So where Ferrari wins and Carol Shelby's an extreme drunk and child molester and just this monster, and all of these they just completely remake it as
why did you say drunk before child molester? Drunk, okay, child molester, okay.
Well, it's just what
escalated quickly.
That's what they do. They escalate it as the movie goes on, right? And they just make it everyone in it is just yeah, like they go on and on and on about like it just gets worse and crazier, and they just
God damn, dude.
they just make it way more ridiculous, right? Like Ken Miles is just like huffing glue and just like they just make it, and like the Ford, like it's like super unreliable and catches fire all the time, and like the Ferrari is perfect, and like and yeah, they just randomly there's like the Ferrari they're using in the movie is like 10 years newer than it's like a Daytona or something. You're like, wait,
Sure.
what? Like I don't. Yeah, they just make it completely butcher, but just it's like the Italian response to Ford versus Ferrari. It's like, oh no, that's fake news. Like this is the real deal, and it was very clearly made in Italy as a pro-Italy propaganda.
Wonderful. I think we successfully destroyed some films.
yeah. Ford versus Ferrari, where Ken Miles is just like abusing women and like and
Carroll Shelby. You know what we could really do to get some more bang out of this Ford Mustang?
Exactly.
Put a couple kids in the back.
yeah, just like complete monstrously. Just
all right.
Libeling the bejesus out of people. But yeah,
dude, all right, let's fucking move on to a game or something.
Yes, I'd like to play a game.
I'll pull up a little ad, and you can introduce our listeners who are still hanging on for dear life.
Exactly. Yeah, Carroll Shelby is from beyond the grave trying to his estate is trying to bury us in legal fees currently. Yes. So on that lovely note, the way this game is played. Oh boy, it's our print ad quiz game. In today's edition, Chadwick has found some sort of magazine ad for an automobile from the 80s, the 90s to the mid 2000s. He's going to read that print ad whilst redacting out any overly identifying bits and pieces. I get 3 guesses in 10 minutes once he's done reading the ad to try and figure out what is the make, model, and ballpark year of this vehicle. I'm ready. Please play along at home. Chadwick, are you ready?
I am. Let's get ready, friends. Now, this is a vehicle I like. I think I say that every time I read a fucking ad. I want them all. I want them all, man. I want them all.
Yeah.
So this single page. I love Pokemon too. So we got the vehicle center of the single page, going a bit of dirt kicking up, very dramatic angle, cool angle. Actually, it's like it's definitely got a kind of Dutch angle aspect to it. It's just cool shit. At the top, it shows a cartoon. It looks like differential, or I'm sorry, independent front suspension, which is a key part of this ad. So, and I got to be careful with this one. There's a lot of words, and they say the name a million times, so I got to be really careful. Sure. The new Frontier in 4x4s. Definitely not a Nissan Frontier.
Nissan.
Yeah, right. The 18 MPG blank.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, this is weird already, right? This is a cool one. This is a fucking cool one. And this is big. The only independent front suspension. Tough twin traction beam is the only independent front suspension in a standard size 4x4. Each wheel works independently for a stable ride plus off-road control. Best gas mileage. Now, these numbers, I'll tell you that. These numbers, man. Efficient blank, and it says the year, so double blank. Set a new mileage record: 24 estimated highway, 18 EPA estimated MPG. Ooh. No other blank built 4x4 can touch that. Neither can lots of 2-wheel drive pickups. With standard 4.9 liter, that's a 300 cubic inch displacement engine, boys. 6 and optional 4-speed overdrive. Use for comparison. Your mileage and range may differ depending. I like how they always had to put that in back in the day.
By the way,
it was such a difference between the two. Actual highway mileage and range will probably be lower than estimated. California ratings less. V8 required. I think you can only get the V8 in California. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that helps. That helps nail down the timeline here.
Highest torque 6. The same Husky 306 that leads in, and that's the cubic inch displacement again, leads in MPG also turns out more torque than any competitive 6. So leading the drive in the 6s, 4-speed overdrive. Only Blank offers this new option in a 4-wheel drive vehicle. It's one reason for Blank's dramatic 20% boost in fuel economy for this year. Automatic locking hubs. We're going through some good stuff here, man. They let front wheels run free on the highway, lock in automatically when you shift into four-wheel drive. This new blank option keeps you in the driver's seat. I mean, I hope you're in the driver's seat during the entire fucking drive. That's a good
I don't
one.
know, those bench seats. You can slide.
It's insane.
Buckle up.
They're designed for the needs of the blanks, built in the tough blank tradition. Blank has been Blank's best-selling 4x4 for 4 straight years. That's not a lot to brag about, 4 years. Low drag transfer case. We're really getting in the off-road specs here, buddy. Blank's 2-speed chain-driven case minimizes power loss and increases two-wheel drive efficiency. Effortless shifting. Slick shifting transfer case is designed for consistently low effort without blockage. Just like your butt. No blockage after that Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Longest range. No other sport 4x4 equals blank for range. 912 highway miles. 684 estimated miles based on blank with standard and optional 19-gallon fuel tanks.
Plural.
They'll get you there and back. Integral skid plate. Cover plate of the front differential wraps underneath for extra off-road protection against ruts, especially those big old nasty ruts and debris.
Debris.
Frank, what is the new frontier in 4x4s, boasting 18 MPGs?
Well, before you meant right off the riff, when you said twin I-beam front independent suspension, this is, now I just got to nail down the exact year if I can, but this is a Ford F-150. And then you said the 4.9, the 300 straight six, which doubly nails it down. Great motor, absolute torque monster. And those usually came with a granny first, which just was ridiculous. I don't remember exactly when Ford introduced that twin I-beam front suspension. I want to say it's 1982, 1983. I don't think it was 84, but it might have been. I don't remember the exact year. I'm going to say this is a 1984 Ford F-150. Call it an XLT trim level 4x4. Final answer, Chadwick?
You got it, my friend. It's an 81 though.
81. Okay, so it was earlier.
Boy, dude, I want one of these so hard right now.
They're cool.
Just look how pretty this truck is, dude.
Yeah,
and the ad is fucking so cool.
Yeah,
those
twin I-beam front axles are kind of crazy if you ever get a chance to stare at them.
Yeah, for the time, especially the fact that like they went and did that versus the old traditional. But you're right. This was quite a truck when it came out, and the F-150 shockingly never let up after this. It just kind of kept being a perennial best-selling truck. And at this point, it only had 4 years under its belt. But 18
well, it's crazy. Yeah, they went from the best
gallon.
Well, they went from the best-selling truck to like the best-selling vehicle.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah, no, those are stuff. I mean,
those are cool. I like that 6-cylinder. Those 6-cylinders are great. They're bulletproof. They don't make a ton of power, but they're stump pullers.
Good looking truck.
They're cool.
The boxy, I always like the boxy design of these guys. I always thought they've aged incredibly well. And
I like the ones that are a couple of years after that, like that 80, like 83, 84.
Okay.
Because that's the earlier style. That was a pretty short run, I think, that body style. That was like 78 to 81 or 82. I don't remember exactly. I'm actually not really up on my F-150s, but the way those twin I-beam suspension works, it's like it could not be any different. It could not be more different than if you look at like an 80, call it like an 86 Toyota. The way the IFS works on that is a far more modern traditional style. That old school twin I-beam is it's just like this weird scissor arm contraption.
It's really weird.
It looks very heavy and bulky. But they're cool. Those are cool trucks. I like that. I like that spec with the straight six with a manual. You get those like two-tone or tri-tone body styles. Those are cool.
Automatic locking hubs, dude.
Yeah, take it.
Cool truck. I can't believe we hadn't done like an old F-150. So
yeah, no, that's a good one. It's a cool ad too.
You crushed it. You crushed it.
Twin I-beam. What can I say?
Yeah.
So should we just get into doing some celebratory PCP?
Let's do a little project car progress to celebrate your flawless victory.
Why don't you go first, and then I will tease, but I teased from last week, and I will the big reveal.
He will finish
on what I brought. Maybe I'll finish. We'll see.
He's been edging for a week.
I have.
So
I'm weak in the knees.
I'm following the path of righteousness, Frank. I'm selling vehicles. I'm fixing vehicles.
Good. I need to do that desperately.
I let a really good one go, and I'm super pumped who got it. So you guys know my Acura TSX manual, 2008. So the final years of the first gen, which I think is by far the better gen. Insane condition, insane mileage, 322 and change when I sold it, Frank.
Hell yeah.
That's what that thing had on it. And it literally looked like a 70K car every day. Interior, exterior, ran wonderfully mechanically sound. So I'm like, I don't know how to price it. We talked about on the pod too, right? We didn't know how to price that thing because the mileage, but the condition and how rare they are and how the manuals fetch more, whatever. I listed it for 74. I'm like, let's go. Let's just get rid of it. Dude, it blew up. The second I posted that thing, I was just getting destroyed because it looks, I mean, the car is nuts and mechanically sound. I did a series on it on my YouTube channel. Definitely check it out. And I touched up all the basic maintenance, did some more than basic stuff, and fixed like the nav and all that kind of silly stuff. It's a great car. I used it as a daily for a while. But dude, it just got crazy. Like everyone wanted it. And they're like, is it legit? Is the condition really this good? Is it photos? I'm like, come see the car. Come see the car. So like the very first person, so I had a guy offer me, it was posted for 2.5 days before someone said, I straight up want to give you a deposit. You take the car down.
Love
and I'm
it.
like,
hell yeah.
You sir have a deal. So sold it for the asking price of 74. I probably could have went more, honestly could have went more. But
74, I think is good. I think for that mileage, it's going to scare a lot of people, but it's a cool car. Find another one. And people figured it out.
People who know it, like know that car. I included all the suspension components, control arms, all 4 shocks, bushings, because I thought the car was going to be pretty worn in when I got it. And I always preemptively buy stuff. And then I found out I did my full inspection. It didn't need shit. So like I gave all that to the new owner. He was so pumped. He's a Honda guy. All he owns is Honda and Acura, and he bought it for his son. So
killer.
Yeah, what a good first vehicle. Like it's
a great first car.
Great car. It's already maintained. It's good looking. Performance is good. It's gonna last forever. K24 engine, 6-speed manual. Yep. So he was like, he took photos, video called his mechanic to show him the car. He's like, you're not gonna believe this, and showed the engine running. And he's like, these are like, even with 100,000 miles, the engine ticks way louder, and my engine just runs like a sewing machine. I'm like, he's like, God,
maintenance. It's amazing.
Yeah, just keep on maintenance.
Those have like 100 or 120. There's like a mandatory valve adjustment on those, right?
Yeah, and you can do it more than that, and it's not a hard job at all. And like all Hondas, they really do benefit from valve adjustments. But he just couldn't believe the condition. He's like, all I do is see Hondas, and this is like the cleanest one, and it has the most mileage I've ever seen. But he was just absolutely floored with it. And good car. I'm glad it went to him. But yeah, there were so many people. I got a couple of the low ballers that were like, "Are you out of your mind?" And someone, and I usually like
3,000
alone,
cash,
but sometimes I take part, right? Sometimes I fire back. So the guy was like, "Well, you got to be smoking," and he said like ball sack or something. And I was like, I don't know if that
smokes ball sack.
I think he's mixing 2 metaphors. And then I replied to him, and I'm like, "It's ball sack smoking season, son." That's all I wrote. I'm like, sold for asking. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know me.
Kick ass and smoke sack.
I smoked a lot of sack, but it actually got a lot of attention. There were a lot of people that were super bummed that I had a guy put it because I'm like, oh, I got a guy that's about to put a deposit down. I'm sorry. Like it was just, you don't see them like that, right? You just don't see them in that condition. They're usually hammered on, the paint's gone, interior gone, but
nope. Into it.
Sad to see it go. Happy to see it go. Great car. What a cool car. I'm glad I got to own it.
Yeah, no, good score. Good. Glad you got to own it. Have it as a daily for a little bit. Add even a couple more miles to that, and then move it on and make a couple of dollars.
Yeah, made a little bit.
The tease is over. The Edge session is complete. Drum roll.
This guy.
I teased it last week as the what was it, like the Temu edition S52 clown shoe. You know, the Wish.com.
Even though it's like technically a competitor to BMW, but
that's what I mean. But like, if you were like, it's the same recipe as a clown shoe, except not. Or as I made the argument. I made the argument on before with somebody about it being basically the proto Mark V Supra. So it's a 2004 Chrysler Crossfire, 6-speed manual, 45,000 miles, black over gray, running, driving, pretty decent condition, needs a little bit of work, but not too much. I paid $4,300 for it. I drove it home, smogged, registered. It already had tags till middle of 2025. Let's effing go.
Will that thing ever see 322K? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
maybe.
Think about it. That motor. Well, that's 6-cylinder, right? It's for the uneducated. And that's not even a slight on you. Nobody cares about these cars enough to educate themselves on them. The Chrysler Crossfire underneath, it was basically a brand. It was a brand engineering exercise, and underneath it's a Mercedes SLK, a first gen SLK 320 specifically.
Which is funny because it came out when that Mercedes was on its
they were retiring it
iteration.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, like the Chrysler LX platform that ran forever was based off the W210 Mercedes chassis, which released in 96. So yeah, I mean that was the deal back then. Was Chrysler, Daimler Chrysler, God bless him. Hey, how can we spruce up this lineup? I know we'll take all this R&D we have in this what was very expensive platform that we're retiring. We'll push it over to Chrysler, and we'll make the Challenger, and we'll make the Charger, and we'll make the Crossfire.
Yeah.
So it's a hard top, slick top, 6-speed. So it's the same 6-speed manual, running gear, suspension, powertrain, everything. From the SLK, and those motors are pretty damn reliable. It's the same 6-cylinder that was in all of the 3.2 that was in all of those, late 90s to mid 2000s Benz products before they got the shitty 3.5 that ate, timing chain tensioner gears and such. So, or balance shaft, I should say. But drives great. It's got a valve cover leak. And a lower oil pan leak at the what do you call it? There's an oil level sensor that's on the bottom of the pan, and it's leaking from that. And the pan has been resealed at one point. You can tell they didn't do a great job. So, but the guy threw in all the parts. He was like, "I'm a mechanic. I bought new valve covers, and they're good. They're like Velcro gaskets.
Okay.
Like, I just bought an oil pan because I saw it was resealed and I didn't trust the job. It's a cast aluminum pan. I don't know if they scraped it up and made it messed up. So I just bought a pan. It was $70, not the big deal. I've got the sensor. He's even got like nice full synthetic oil to go along with it.
Shit.
And it's just like, I was going to fix it up. But I'm fixing my house and I'm a mechanic. I'm working on everyone else's cars. I don't got time.
Right.
So I bought it for basically what he had in it. And it was a little old lady car, and so it sat in the sun, so the headlamps are faded, some of the trim is faded, the rear bumper cover's faded, but I'm gonna have the homie that painted the Supra do the bumper. I'll do the valve cover and do the lower oil pan, and then send it. And it needs tires. The tires are Dakota 2008. Ton of tread, but it never got driven, and so they're just old. So I got to go tire shopping. So I'm hoping to be in it all in less than $5,500.
Not bad.
And so and then it's going to be DWA rally fodder. So that's going to be early October, taking on the rally. I will be the guy that shows up in the Crossfire. It will be great. But 230 horsepower, 6-speed manual, compact German convertible turned into a coupe. How is this not a clown shoe?
Yeah.
How is it not a clown shoe? Dollar store clown shoe, baby.
The greatest shame is they didn't put a manual in the SRT6. That's probably the biggest shame about that car. I wish they would have done that. But
I mean, what happens a lot with these cars is they'd get wrecked, and the 6-speeds, you take that transmission, the pedal box, everything, and you can just put that in really any Benz of that era. So there's people that take that transmission setup and all of it, and they'll put it into like an SL, like a CLK 55 or an E55, and 6-speed swap them.
Oof.
And so I think would be sick if we go the other way around and get the M113K supercharged V8 from an E55 and put it in the Crossfire and just take souls. Like,
those are cool. So I remember when those cars came out. They were pretty cool. They definitely looked very unique.
They're only driven by like boomers and octogenarians. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to prove itself to be pretty good. And for talk about your cars under $5,000 to $10,000.
Well bought. Yeah.
The manuals are hard. The manuals are hard to come by.
Yep.
But I preferred the manual base model car to an automatic SRT6.
100%
for what I'm doing with it.
Yeah. If they did have the SRT6 manual, that thing would be pretty pricey, probably, knowing how those kind of weird.
But maybe not, because it's got a Chrysler badge, right?
Yeah, but it's like the Dodge Caliber SRT4. For some reason, those things aren't dirt cheap, even when they're murdered out. So it's like, it's kind of one of those weird things, because it was such a weird vehicle. But it's like the Neon SRT4. Go find a stock one for a decent price. You can't.
Yeah. So I'll probably have the Crossfire just a couple of months. My thought is take it on the rally, as long as I don't put it on its top, which I don't intend to do.
Please don't.
Just turn around and sell it. I think I could, if I can do what I need to do on it, I think it's worth at least $6,500 all day long.
I think so. Low mileage, good condition.
Yeah, it'll have under 50,000 miles. It'll have some fresh work done to it. Brand new tires. It'll be good.
The paint goes a long way with that, because I know the paint was pretty shitty on those things. I remember I see a lot of them where the paint's just like completely fudged up.
Yeah, it's got like painted like argent trim around the windshield, reveal molding. It's all fading off of that, but that's easy. That's like a rattle can job. That's not bad.
Everything's a rattle can job after a couple beers.
Exactly. Yes, everything. Just like brushing my teeth. But yeah,
man.
That's it for now. Exactly.
Let's close this shit down.
Let's lock it down. Thank you for hanging out with us, friends. You are a part of the family of another Pointless Automotive podcast. We have an abandoned Instagram channel at APA Podcast. You can check that out. I'm Frank. I'm the photographer's garage on most of the things that are not important, but we like to pretend that they are. My friend Chadwick here, your friend Chadwick here. Where can you be stalked digitally?
Same old fucking dive bar on the internet. The Auto Obsessive Garage, where I'm rescuing toy boxes, restoring them, sometimes reviewing them if we get that far along and I don't abandon them in a river somewhere. But
yes, there you go.
Can be found.
Okay. Well, thank you for finding us, everybody. Let's do this again, hopefully next week. I don't know. We're getting inconsistent with this, but our lives will settle in. We'll figure this out eventually.
Probably not for a while, but yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Until then, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you whenever we see you.
As always, guys, take care.